Here's a segment from a recent Gun Talk radio episode. You can listen to all the Gun Talk radio podcasts however you tune in, or check out guntalk.com for more. Yeah, you get out, you enjoy the outdoors, the whole hunting experience. By the way, if you have not, if you haven't checked, got to make sure you have ammo for this year. If you haven't been to the stores, you may be surprised. A lot of stores don't have a lot of ammunition for hunting rifles. They may have 9mm and handgun ammo. But if you're trying to find 25-06 or 7 mag or something like that, good luck. Hope you got some left over. But you may find some out there. You just got to do a little bit of shopping. A friend of ours just went on his first big game hunt with Ryan and KJ and the Gun Talk crew. Joining us right now to talk about that, Kevin White. How you doing, Kevin?
Hey, Mr. Tom, how you doing? I'm doing great.
I'm doing well. So you get this call from Ryan, I guess, because you and Ryan have been buds for a long time, I gather.
Yeah, we were talking about it on the trip the other day. I've known Ryan since 1997, so it's been a while now.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, so you get this call, or you guys are talking, and he says, hey, we're going to go on an antelope hunt in Wyoming. You want to go? You've never hunted any big game animals before this, right?
No, sir. Prior to this past weekend, my hunting experience was pretty much all birds. I duck hunted and goose hunted with my dad growing up, and I go on a couple quail hunts a year with my dad and his friends during every winter around the holiday break. Mm-hmm. But this was it. I've never shot big game until this past weekend. Okay,
so how did you prep for this? What did you do?
Well, first of all, after Ryan invited me, I kind of started watching some videos on YouTube and reading blog entries. Ryan was very helpful. He did a great job of sending me things on my email every time he saw something that might be interesting to me or something that might be helpful. So really, I just spent a lot of time researching it. Obviously, living in Houston, it's kind of hard to replicate that scenario in real time. So what I did was just prepare as best as I could through watching the YouTube videos, reading the blogs. And then I was there this past summer for a visit with friends, and KJ let me borrow one of his 22 250 rifles. Mm-hmm. And I ended up getting a few boxes of ammo from him in that same trip, and I took that to the range just so I could learn how to work the bolt on the gun, just kind of get an idea how it would recoil, all those kind of things. So really, between my online preparation, just reading about it, looking at photos of where we were going to be. Also, when I got my hunting license in the mail, the state of Wyoming sent a really nice booklet that basically had a lot of good information in it about the area that you're going to be hunting in, what you can and you can't do. So I felt like when I got there, when we finally arrived, I was mentally prepared for it, but nothing can beat the actual experience of being in the field. So that's what was new for me.
Well, and fortunately, you had Ryan and you had KJ, people who had experience to be with you. That's got to be invaluable.
Absolutely. I was very fortunate that I had friends that were very knowledgeable about the subject and had lots of experience under their belt. So one of the best parts about it was, and also just the fact that we're friends to begin with.
Sure.
One of the things I really liked was I was able to ask any question at any time, regardless of how basic or how dumb it may have sounded to anybody else. But I never felt uncomfortable in the information process. I'll put it that way.
Now, I gather they had you rigged up with a different rifle when you got there. Was it a 6.5 Creedmoor?
Correct. Yeah, it was a Ruger American Predator model rifle with the 6.5 Creedmoor in it. Yep. And it had a loop-old scope. But to your point, it was when I pulled that rifle out of the bag when we got on the antelope. That was the first time I had ever held it, for that matter. So that was a little bit different for me.
All right. So, what's your impression? You get out there, for those who've never even hunted antelope, and we always say it's a great way to go because you just see a lot of animals, don't you?
Yeah, there's mule deer out there. You've got obviously tons of antelope. It's kind of funny. The antelope always seem to be on the fence, hanging out, watching you drive by when you're going by private land, but as soon as you get on the public land, they're nowhere to be found, and then you have a lot of work to do.
Go figure. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So give me the short version, the cliff notes of the actual hunt, because you ended up getting a critter.
Yes, I did. So that morning, the first morning we were out there, I knew that I was going to be on the gun first. KJ and Ryan wanted me to kind of get mine under the belt, so that way it was just tagged out off the map for the day, and we could enjoy the rest of the day doing some other people's hunts. So I had a great idea that morning when we were driving around before the sun came up that my time was going to come, but I will say it came a lot sooner and a lot more unexpected than I thought it would. So we were driving down the highway between Douglas and, what's the name of the town? Gillette, Wyoming. And KJ, who seems to be the best out of everybody in the group at spotting antelope, found one walking across the field with his naked eye. And he immediately drove past it a little bit. We pulled over on the side of the road, and next thing you know, I'm taking the gun out of the back of the car, getting everything ready with Ryan, taking the tripod out. So I had Ryan and KJ with me once we started the stalk. We hopped the barbed wire fence, which I will tell anybody who's never antelope hunted before to learn how to do that, because you end up doing that a lot over the weekend. But anyway,
unload the gun, be careful, use all the guns, firearm safety. And for those who are wondering, yes, that's perfectly legal. You're getting out now. You're hunting. You're not hunting from the road. You're actually getting off, and you're on foot and you're going out and doing your hunting.
Correct. And going back to what I said earlier, those are kind of the questions you don't think about until you go out and do it. So I literally asked Ryan, when is it okay for me to put the magazine in the gun? When can I throw the bolt? I wanted to know before we got out there to make sure I wasn't doing anything wrong or putting anybody in danger. But once we got out into the field, we were able to watch the antelope. He was kind of walking from the middle of the field to the edge of the field. And he didn't seem to see us, so we were able to kind of creep up on him a little bit at a time. And we got pretty fortunate to where we ran into a small drainage or maybe kind of like a little dry creek. And we were able to get down in there and watch him, and that allowed Ryan and I to start setting up my shot. Because what happened while we were down there is the antelope headed for a big patch of sagebrush. So it ended up being kind of interesting, because when he got to the sagebrush, he decided that he was going to bed down.
Oh, so, no kidding. Wow.
Yeah, so when I first spotted him in the scope and Ryan was on my right spotting him in the binoculars, the only thing I could see were his two antlers sticking up. Sure. And he was facing away from me. He wasn't even looking in our direction at all. So we took that opportunity to move a little bit closer to him, and ultimately we were able to get about 120 yards. I think my shot was a total of 117, according to KJ's rangefinder.
Okay.
And once I got the gun on the tripod and I got set up, it was just really a lot of patience.
Well, you had to get him to stand up, right?
Yeah, I needed him to stand up, and I was very amped up at the time. It was the first time I had ever done it, and so Brian kept reminding me to calm my breathing. I guess he could tell I was kind of antsy. Right. And yeah, it was great though. We ended up kind of hanging out. To me, what seemed like probably 15 minutes was maybe 5. And he was pretty stubborn though. He wouldn't stand up. So we decided to kind of abandon stealth mode, and we started kind of yelling at him and clapping our hands, and doing different things to get him to stand up. And I guess he was comfortable where he was, because he didn't do it. He just kind of hung out there anyway. So KJ got the idea after we did that for a couple minutes that he was just going to walk immediately to my left and hop the fence. And hopefully when he hopped the fence, that would kind of make the antelope uncomfortable and get him to stand. And that seemed to do the trick. So he did stand up, but the problem or another obstacle, I guess, when he did stand up is he was pretty much facing directly at me. So,
yeah, which is not a great angle. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I had to be patient and just kind of wait for him to turn a little bit. And once Ryan thought that he turned enough, he told me where I need to place my shot. And one of the videos I watched, I kept it in the back of my mind, said that when you're pulling the trigger on a long-range shot, to pretend like you're drawing a line in the dirt with your finger. And I just kind of followed that practice on the gun. And when it went off, it recoiled a little bit. And when I looked or was able to focus back in the scope, the antelope was down. So I was really happy with that because one of the things I really wanted to do being a first-timer was put a one-shot on it, and I did. So
that is
I was
great. Well,
I was really
congratulations.
satisfied.
That is wonderful.
Yeah.
What a great experience. Yeah, and just and going out with knowledgeable people, going with your friends. I guess what I would say is that anybody that's thinking about getting into hunting and doesn't know how, you probably know people who are hunters. You can go ask them because people who are experienced hunters, they would love to take you out and show you this great sport.
Yeah, and that's one thing I mentioned earlier is everyone in the whole group, not only Ryan and KJ, but Gary, the other guys, they were very knowledgeable, offering tips, could bounce ideas off of them. It was a great group to be with, lots of experience, lots of knowledge to play off of, especially for a first timer like myself.
Well, Kevin, congratulations.
Yes, sir.
All
yeah.
right.
I was going to say also, like I said, with the group of guys that we had, some of them are Gun Talk employees, some of them are our friends. And it was not only from just the standpoint of me being able to hunt the antelope on my own. I think one of my favorite parts about this particular hunt is even when you're not on the gun anymore, you can still be helpful and you can still participate and be part of other people's hunts. And that's really fun.
Yeah, that's a good bit of antelope hunting. And this is going to show up on one of the Gun Talk videos, I am sure.
Yeah, I was kind of oblivious to it because I was zoned in on my antelope, but apparently KJ had the camera rolling the whole time. It was while I was on the gun, so I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Oh, yeah, we'd like to take advantage of our friends there. Kevin White, thank you so much for sharing the story, man.
Thanks for having me on the show, Mr. Tom. It was a lot of fun.
All righty, you take care. Oh, I just love to hear those stories. First time big game hunt. Antelope is a pretty good way to start, especially if you got some friends with you to help you calm you down, get you on it. This buck would not get up. I think they were actually hollering, "Hey, get up, antelope."